I felt sorry for you. I thought you were carrying a broken heart around, but the whole time you've been fucking eating your frozen off. Anger shot through Shane. He stepped towards JJ, which meant he had to tip his head back to see his face. Because he's so small, you know. We do find things out about Ilya. Nothing that we did not already know, but whatever. And it is given the same care, the same page space as an endless discussion of how to prepare for... I don't even remember anything. But... Okay, then the phone rings. Ilya is like, no, don't go, don't take the call. And I'm like, please, for God's sake, take that call. Something must happen. I cannot again suffer through a breakfast routine. And you know what happened? Jackie, Hayden's, Shane's teammate, his best friend, who has no personality aside from being kind of stupid and dorky and having 4 children, his wife broke her ankle. And they need Shane and Ilya to take care of the children while they go to the emergency room. That's our monster of the week. I liked him well enough. But in this book, he makes me so angry. He's such a whiny, moany bitch. Hey guys, while editing my rewrite on season 1 of Heated Rivalry, I was like, why not read the long game to find out what season 2 is going to be about and vlog it? Well, it's gonna be very rambly, very ranty. You can just listen to it, or you can watch me editing my rewrite. So I hope you enjoy. Okay, so we are 26% in. Let's just try to recap and give an impression about the narrative drive that this novel has, which is none. Absolutely none. 25% in would usually mean that this is your first act, which means you will have an inciting incident. The moment that the story is set in motion, something breaks into the life, a problem, a challenge springs into the life of your protagonist. And by 25%, you would be at the end of Act 1, usually, which means we would already have a point of no return. Like the protagonist leaves his hometown to slay the dragon, or Marty leaves for 1955. Doc Brown is shot, stuff like that. And let me recap what has happened so far. Just as a reminder or as a caveat, I have not read the first novel, so I've only seen the show. But I think that this book kind of takes off merely months or maybe a year later. Nothing major happened between the end of season 1 and where this book picks up. So the situation is that Ilya was like to Shane's parents, well, we want to be together and I want to have a non-Russian passport, so I'm going to play for a team that is close to Montreal, where Shane is playing hockey. So we can be close, we can see each other a lot, and maybe at some point I get the Canadian citizenship so that we can be together openly. And we're going to have like summer camps, hockey summer camps for children, for a good cause, for mental health. I think that Shane's whole team now knows that he's gay, and I think that they're like his best friend, I forgot his name because he's so boring. This guy and someone else from Shane's or Ilya's team, they ran into them or kissing someplace, and they know, but they all kept it secret. But Shane's whole team at least knows that he's gay. And as per usual, they spend the whole summer together, but during the season, they don't see each other more often than they did before. So when they play against each other, and they only have really time for each other in the summer in Shane's cottage. So we start off the whole thing with Shane. They have a voice call with Shane's manager, and they telling her that they're together. And she's like, "Oh, good. That's good to know. If something happens, I'm happy you brought me in. She will never come up again." What happens then? Oh my God, stress. They're having a summer camp. It's 1 week, and Shane is busy planning it. His mom's freaking out. They're both like kind of control freaks and type A people. Ilya isn't. Ilya has dreamt about his mother. He's missing his mom. He does not tell Shane. Shane makes an insensitive remark that he has no, something like that, that he has no mom to worry about. It's not his mom who's stressing him out. Ilya's hurt, but he does not talk about it. That is that. And oh my God, we have to pretend that we're not a couple during this week of summer camp. That's it. What else is even happening? Nothing. Okay, next thing that happens, Ryan is his name. He's an ex-hockey player, I think, who's also out and gay. I would argue it sounds as though this Ryan type and his beautiful, ethereal, angel-like boyfriend, singer Fabian, got their own book. That there is a through line of Shane and Ilya wanting to be together more. They're apart so often, and I want to live a normal life. And so Shane asks Ryan and his boyfriend Fabian so that they might go to a double date, and only conflict that comes out of that is that Ilya seems way more comfortable in being seen with other gay people, or even, I don't know, dressing more flamboyantly than Shane. And that's it. And oh my God, we cannot touch. Then later on, they go to Fabian is Ryan's boyfriend. And as I said, he's just perfect and he's so sexual. And they go to a concert of his. And oh my God, they cannot touch the whole time, although they're so horny. And Fabian is just so, makes everything so sensual and sexy. That's it. And then they go home and have sex. And it's an okay scene. But that's the amount of conflict that we get. So there are different spurts. There are different little sputters, I think you can call it, of a narrative motor who just threatens to spring into action, who threatens to get started. One is that Ilya, that Shane is very dismissive and doesn't really remember that Ilya has his problems with his mom, he's dreaming of her. He's still suffering and he's not talking to Shane, and Shane doesn't get the memo that there's something wrong. And then there's another one. And they're talking about why Shane and Ilya just not come out and tell everyone. If they're suffering so much, why are they not coming out publicly? Shane is like, no, that's not working. We cannot do this. And this is what happens. The league has built up this huge... It's not only that they're gay. Ryan explains, the league has built up this huge rivalry between them. Been going on since their rookie season. Before that even, Shane said. Oh, wow. That's kind of fascinating, Fabian said. But everyone knows you're friends, obviously. You have this charity together. What difference does it make if you also kiss? Shane opened his mouth to explain the difference, but couldn't find the words. The way Fabian said it made the distinction sound so unimportant. It does. It really shouldn't make a difference, but it did. It would make things very hard for us. It would make things very ... hard for us, Ilya said. Distracting. It would be a fucking shit show, Shane agreed. I think we'd both rather focus on hockey for now. Get this, put a pin in that. That's the reason, right? It's not only that they're gay, but oh my God, there is a rivalry and it would make things distracting. So this, if I'm talking about spurts of conflict, spurts of antagonism, spurts of, or like these dashes of, oh my God, is this going to be the narrative? Is this what's happening? Is this what they fight against? And grow even stronger in their love as a result, because that would make sense for a romance. This this dies within inception. Okay, what else is happening? This whole section of the hockey camp, nothing happens. People are arguing. Shane loves that Ilya is so good with kids. Then there is someone interviewing Shane, and Ilya gets jealous. Ilya throws a puck, how do you call it? Ilya throws this thingy against, I don't know, the window where Shane and this reporter are standing. And then they're arguing about this because Ilya behaves like a dumbass because he's jealous, and then that is that. That is that. This guy never comes up. Oh, and then later on, it's just Shane in the morning. I don't know when that happened, but then in the morning, Shane asks, how many men did you have? And then talk about why is this important? Because it isn't. And to complete the scene, Ilya says it's been like 2. You were the second one, I think. And that was that again. The moment something comes up, the next moment, everything's fine. Everything just works out. Oh no, there is another thing that might come into play, which probably wouldn't, but another kernel of a possible romantic conflict between them. 13%. Most of all, though, Ilya missed the comfort he got from human touch. Right now in this club, it's in the club where Fabian is so sensual. Right now in this club in Montreal, he wanted that comfort from the man he was in love with. He took another step towards Shane, closing the slim gap between them again. This time he trailed a fingertip down Shane's arm from his elbow to his wrist. Shane flinched and stared at him with wide, questioning eyes. What? He asked. Kiss me, Ilya wanted to say. Kiss me and hold me in front of all these people. Pull me on stage and do it. I don't care anymore, please. I'm dying. Nothing, Ilya said and stepped away. Nothing. They did hold hands in the end. So even that did not go far. I mean, whenever there is like a difference between them, I think that Ilya is way more, I'm going to come to this when I rant about the characters, but damn, Ilya really gets the short end of the stick in almost everything. Like, he started out as such an interesting character. And he was not a very, let's say, the most original character. He was like this stereotype or this archetype of a lovable asshole, right? A very prickly, bantery, quippy, arrogant type of guy who hides behind this facade. He hides the need to really connect, that he wants love. And he also hides a lot of flaws in the stress with his family. Like, he hides a loneliness behind it and a need for affection. Which is perfect, because this is what you want in a character, the duality, the soul in fighting with itself. And I think this is the main thing that the writer excels at, is showing his prickly side, the quibs that he has, the banter that he has, the facade that he puts up. He is funny at times. He's not haha funny, but he talks like jocks like this would talk to hide their vulnerability. And I think she's pretty good at that. And he was really good at being that person, right? He was arrogant, he's good looking, he's good at playing hockey, which is wonderful. But there were always sprinkled in a lot of very nice moments of showing that he is a good guy and that he would be a good lover. The moment, especially when he makes that joke about, it's in the first, it's their first NC scene, when he pretends that he wants to leave Shane like naked and not done and just go, that he pretends to be selfish. But then when the joke is done, he's like, I would never do that to you. I would never do that. So, showing that he's a decent guy and that he would be a good lover. So, but then right into when he's at his most dangerous, at his most troubled, at his most flawed and that interesting, he does in the tuna melt scene a complete 180. He loses all of his grit. He loses all of his teeny tiny complexity that there was. Like there were 2 dimensions and he loses this dimension, and he is not this character anymore. He's not dangerous anymore. He's not troubled anymore. He becomes a golden retriever. He becomes the one that suddenly wants more close out of nowhere, suddenly wants closeness, suddenly is the one who commits more and who wants all this domestic and coupley kind of stuff. And he kind of stays that way the whole time. He is the support for Shane. I think in Trapped, it was kind of the same. I'm going on a tangent here, but I don't have a problem with supportive characters at all. I think there was the thing with Xiao Fei in Trapped. Watch my video on Trapped. Where we also had like one person who was kind of the manic pixie dream girl supportive character, who was always there to support, to save the other person from doing bad stuff. And I usually don't like that, but in that case it kind of worked because his counterpart Tang Yi was interesting and troubled enough. And we don't have that here. Shane in the show was cute. I loved his awkwardness. He was sensitive. So he matched that episode 1 to 2 Ilya pretty well. And I was merely angered by the fact that Ilya had all his teeth pulled and could have been he could have had such a great arc and didn't. But now in this book, I'm getting so angry at Shane, and I said it again. Ilya is super fucked in the relationship, the way that their relationship or their current life is set up. He plays for a really shitty team at the moment. Like he gave up his whole career, and he was such him being so competitive, him always wanting to win, that was one of the kernels of conflict and intrigue in the first book or in the first 2 episodes. And for love, he has given up his whole career. Like he has given up almost all of his personality to be with Shane, and probably to not get killed because he's Russian, and if it comes out that he has, and he's playing for a super shitty team, and for the first, 15%, it's like, it's not so bad. He's not that interested, and no one comes to the games. He is not everyone, people, not everyone, people ask, why did you do this? You don't belong here. And he, first of all, he's like, oh, it's okay. It's not that bad. He wants to be with Shane. And we see that he is bothered by this, but only mildly. And then there's also mentions of when he was in Boston, he's the team captain now, and he thinks that he shouldn't be the team captain because his heart is not in it, like at all. And he does not go with the other players. So like he is basically a shell of this sparkling, prickly, charismatic, intense personality that he was in the first season, if you will. He's a shell of this person. He doesn't want to go with anyone. Here at 26%, his major personality decision is to say, oh man, maybe I invite them to have a Halloween party and be the captain I was. God, is this lame? God, is he lame? And it's not, and he's not suffering from this. And his relationship with Shane is not suffering from this. Oh my God, it's 10 days until we see they're together for 10 years. And oh my God, we can't see each other for like 10 days. This gets more weight. This gets more suffering from Ilya as well than having completely given up his career and completely just treading water there just to be with Shane. And then Shane. Oh my God. I liked him well enough. He's sympathetic. He's a normal, sensible, emotional guy, and he usually talk and he can talk about his feelings. I liked him well enough. But in this book he makes me so angry. He makes me so angry. He's such a whiny, moany bitch. Let's start with the first thing that really grinds my gears. We've been hearing, right, that Ilya is just getting nowhere with his team, his Ottawa team. And he's kind of about it, and it's not super bad. But one night he is with there's so many lame domestic. He's playing with Shane. He's playing Yahtzee with Shane's parents. Oh my God, I mean, imagine this, this intense and troubled and powder keg Ilya from episode 1 and 2. This is his life now. He hangs out with Shane's parents playing Yahtzee and eating ice cream. My God, this is the height of his existence right now. And I get that people want fluff. I get that people, but oh my God, it doesn't matter. And then they're watching Shane's game. And what happens, Shane, I don't know if it's a penalty or what, I have no idea about hockey, but Shane makes a shot at the goal and uses a trick. I don't know how, it does not seem very particular. It's called Rozanov move, I think, something like that. It's just you pretend to shoot into one direction and then just shoot in the other. I don't know. It doesn't seem very elaborate. And he scores a goal with this. Ilya is on the couch with Shane's parents, and he gets super angry. And he's like, he copied my move. And then, and he's super angry. Shane wins, of course. And then later on, they talk. And he's like, why did you copy my move? And Shane is like, well, it's not that big of a deal, and it was very easy, and do I not get some credits because I perfected it? And I was like, man, you fucking God. Your man is on the floor He gave up his entire life, because it seemed really like hockey was his entire life. He gave this up for you. And you taunt him by using his move and then winning when he's just losing and losing all the time. And then he's just so smug and arrogant about Shane has no empathy. Like, Shane has nothing going for him except for, I don't want anyone to find out that we're gay because I want to play hockey some more. That's all. Or I don't want to go shopping. I'm just so awkward that someone sees me with fancy clothes and all this shit. And his man he has no family. He has no family. His whole family gave him up. He cannot go home because he could maybe get killed or at least go to prison for being with Shane if that gets out in Russia. He has nothing. He's playing for a bad team. He has almost no fans. They don't admire him anymore. I don't know about the money. They don't seem to have money problems. But from character-wise, he's really on this lowest of lows. And this is what Shane does. And you know what? The narrative does not punish him for that. No, he gets super hot sex as a reward for this. So Ilya is kind of hurt. He is hurt. But at the same time, it makes him super hot for Shane. And then they have like super hot FaceTime sex. And I hate this. I hate this so much. Shane is like, and Shane is learning Russian because he's so cool and he knows so much. And then, I think that is the worst. Then he meets up with Rose again, and let me show you what he says. And he's moaning and whining all the time. And Rose is like, yeah, everyone would support you. There's no problem. Just do it. I mean, you're already fans together. You're friends. And he says, as he watched her drive away, a ball of tension formed inside his stomach, expanding into his chest. There was no backup plan. If he and Ilya were found out, they were fucked. And I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. He's a fucking millionaire. He is getting, I don't know, one cup after the other. And even then, they are doing this for 10 years now. What else? There isn't even a goal in the whole narrative. Like, there is not, he has won everything, but he's still needed for whatever reason. I don't know. He's still needed playing the Olympics or winning for the Olympics or winning this or that cup. You could make it work. There is nothing. They're both millionaires. He's successful. He has tons of money. Everybody loves him. Everybody loves him. And then he's this whole thing that they could be found out. That is his whole thing. That's the whole conflict. And it is so fucking weak that every time he moans about this shit, I'm like, dude, these are first world problems, especially compared to Ilya, who really has emotional baggage, who's really alone, who really has a problem, but he does not get the same amount of immediacy and trouble that I could punch him. This is so awful. He becomes such a, I hate him. And this is the writer's fault, that he whines about them being found out. What is there to lose? There are no stakes. If they're found out, what happens? What would happen? They've played 10 years of hockey. He has tons and tons of money. People love him. What would he lose? Nothing. Fucking nothing. Whereas Ilya has just lost almost everything and is keeping quiet, and the worst thing that happens for him is that they don't see each other for 10 days. It's so awful. And man, This is so bad. And this is so interesting that because we're being told, we're being informed that, oh my God, this would be so awful if they would be found out. And it's just not true. It's just not true. The way the narrative is built, the way that the world is built does not support this. And it makes Shane such an unsympathetic, awful character, because he's like whining about things that are not there and not seeing the real trouble that is there, that his man is. I mean, kudos if that was the goal of the writer, to make him unsympathetic, but this is so bad. And as I said, there's no narrative drive here. Everything just happens, and it's just so mundane, and the characters are just so. Shane is so. He has a lot of gay friends and a lot of queer friends and trans friends. And they're so boring. They're all so boring. And there's only, as I said, one moment when the narrative and the prose really sparkles, and it is when they banter, when they give each other shit, which is kind of cute in the beginning of a relationship. Now I'm like, Ilya and Shane, that is. And the other characters, it's just so lame. They're so lame. Like, what's his name? Let me read you. Dialogue. Hayden, whose only feature, whose only personality is that he has a lot of kids, and oh God, this seems so stupid. They're just on the road, and Shane can't sleep because he misses Ilya, I guess. And Hayden, next to him in the hotel room, is watching like horror movies, and then he's like, can I come in? I'm so scared of the horror movie that I watched. Oh God. And and then they talk about kids, and even that, and they both want kids, but and Ilya would be a great dad. And so we did not even talk about this. This is not a next step that they achieve together. This is just there. So another unused conflict opportunity. Let me read you this dialogue. Okay. Hayden wrapped a hand around Shane's forearm. Shane, buddy, you've never been cool about it. It's about if he could be a cool parent. And he said Ilya would be the cool parent. And parenting is the most high-stress thing you can do. You'll be an absolute mess. Thanks, Shane says. You should still do it, though. Kids are the best. Okay, that's Shane. Hey, maybe Ruby and Jade will be old enough to babysit your kids. Man, that's wild to think about. This is Shane thinking. It was wild to think about. Every aspect of it was wild. Yeah. You got plans for tomorrow? Hayden asked. I'm hanging out with Rose. Oh, sweet. Can I come? No. Last time you babbled the entire time like a drooling fanboy. Yeah, because she's a giant movie star. She's also one of my best friends and a totally normal, real person. I'll be cool, I promise. Shane shook his head. She's taking me shopping. I don't need a witness to that. I'm weird enough about clothes without you being there. This is what all the interactions are about. There is no meat to anything. It's just people blabbering. People, I mean, I was thinking what this reminds. This is obviously the lowest of low stakes and the coziest of cozy. And if you like that, this is great. But this is even worse than reality TV, because in reality TV they just create conflict because otherwise it's boring, and it's just so boring, and it's just so lame and badly written. So this is all, again, episode 4 to 6 dialed up to 11. for if there is a season 2, and I'm like, we better don't do a season 2, because if it's based on this, oh God. So I don't even like reading this. I'm not like, oh, let me see what happens next. I'm just so angry at Shane. Poor Ilya. Poor Ilya. The narrative hates him. And he's just, this proud, gifted Russian is just decorated to a golden retriever, just a sidekick to a moany, self-centered, extremely self-centered, emotionally immature person. Ugh, it's sad. It's really sad. It makes me angry. Okay, so I'm at 50% now, and it's actually kind of painful. I can cognitively understand that there are people who like to write and also read a couple, like just being a couple. I know that a lot of people write to fulfill a fantasy. And I can understand in fan fiction that if there is a couple that you like, and that you think did not get enough screen time, or you do a fic and you want to set things right, then you think that this should have been better, they shouldn't have been suffering that much, one of them should not have died or something. I want to give them a world in which they can be happy together. And I know that. I was writing, or I was like motivated to write a novel based on a couple that did not make it, that it did not have a happy ending. And I was like, I want to give them a happy ending. This is my motivation for most of the time. But I just cannot understand how this is enjoyable like 100% of the time. This book is just so devoid of any type of narrative structure. I think I already said that. Narrative structure and narrative drive. And it is killing me. It is killing me. There was a scene. I'm gonna recap the plot to just, oh God, to tell you how monotone and flat and repetitive everything is. But there was a scene, like Shane and Ilya were together, and it was like in the telephone, I don't even know where they were, it might have been Shane's home. A telephone rang and Ilya is like, no, don't go, don't take the call. And I'm like, please, for God's sake, take that call. Something must happen. I cannot again suffer through a breakfast routine, just attentionless sex scene, another regurgitation of, oh my God, Shane eats clean, Ilya eats crap, Shane is super, I don't know, he wants his things clean. He hates filth, and oh God. And it's over 100. I just realized that it's more than 200 pages. I'm at midpoint, 50%. At midpoint in Kin Porsche, however awful and misguided a lot of things in Kin Porsche were, but at the midpoint, Kin took a bullet for Porsche. They got together and they went back to Bangkok. At midpoint in Trapped, funnily enough, Xiao Fei took a bullet for Tang Yi, and he thought he was dead, and they got together, and Tang Yi got on his knees seeing Xiao Fei's wound, realizing that they should be together and what a big sacrifice this is. Even Lovely Writer, they got together. Something happened. Something happened in the middle of, the midpoint is the big moment. I read a book about a guy who said, the best way to write your novel is not from the end or from the beginning, but from the midpoint, because when you look at every novel and the midpoint, something great happens. This is the moment when you look at a character arc that the protagonist goes from believing in the lie, clinging to an unhelpful belief, when the protagonist goes from not being able to let go of the flaw, to let go of the thing that holds him or her back, and begins to see the light. Like a major death of someone, a major turning point, a point of no return. This is what we have at the midpoint. From the midpoint on, the story just runs its course. It's to the midpoint that you set up things, that you hang all your Chekhov's guns on the wall, and from that point on, you just take the guns off the wall and you shoot them. This is how this usually works. Let's recap what happened. So after Percent 33. The next big thing, mentionable thing, Ilya's team gets a team puppy. And that's one thing that comes up several times. We never meet the team puppy, and the team puppy means anything, but he mentioned there's a team puppy. Great. So then we have a match against the other, and which could be super interesting in a way that, wow, something happens that might give away that they're together. And I was so happy because Ilya got hurt. Ilya had an accident. The puck, I don't even know how it happened. The puck hurt him on his knee. He almost broke down. Oh my God, what happened? Oh no, nothing happened. He was fine. They have, like afterwards, because they're in the same city, they have like a sex scene just later on. And it is mentioned, oh my God, your knee looks really bad. And he's fine. It's fine. The knee comes up later. It looks really bad. And or a day later, we look at the knee, the wound. I'm sorry, I'm so angry. We look at the wound again, and it's looking really blue. Oh my God. Could this mean that he is way more heavily injured than we think? Could this be that he will never be? No. It comes up again. But again, it is of no consequence. Oh my God. Okay, so we get lengthy dialogue about preparation for sex. This is another, I'm so sorry. This is another thing that just aggravates me. There are things coming up that are emotional, that could be seen as character work. I'm not saying that nothing happens that is character work. We do find things out about Ilya. Nothing that we did not already know, but whatever. And it is given the same care, the same page space as an endless discussion of how to prepare for. I don't even remember anything. But I know the whole reason for this thing to exist is that they have to have sex. And I think this is one of the reasons why we cannot have any conflict here, because that would make the sex less sweet and aspirational. But my God. Okay, whatever. So, but this makes it so flat. There's just no focus. What is important here? Oh, okay. Yeah. Now there's a super important point. They have made a documentary about the two. The documentary was made about the two of them, and Shane asked if they should watch it. And then comes there is if there is one thread that goes through. I don't want to call it narrative, but that goes through the whole book. It is that they are both afraid that it comes out that they're together, and somehow, probably, it depends. Shane very often is like, oh, that's a bummer. Oh my God, they cannot be found out because otherwise we don't know, but it would be bad. And but the main gist is that Ilya is way more eager, is way more eager to tell everyone. He's way more ready to accept whatever happens, and he is way more frustrated not able to say this. And this comes up afterwards when they talk about the documentary. He's like, yeah, what did you say about me? Shane asked, and Ilya's like, yeah, fuck, what can I would not tell them. I couldn't tell them what I really felt. I just told them some stupid stuff. But again, he snaps at him, we're not going to talk about this. There is nothing, not a moment of Shane is like, yeah, this is for me. I'm the one who wants it. And yeah, yes, it is. And they haven't, no, they don't. They don't argue. I mean, I'm happy that he snapped, that at some point he told him. I mean, he loves him so much. But in the end, he tells Shane nothing. Shane is such a... I will rant about Shane later on. This is just... This is like a tiny soap bubble. How do you call this? This is gonna blown up with possible conflict, and then it just pops. They're fine. That's it. Oh my God, frustrated. Okay, but even with the frustration, they don't talk about it, that's it. Okay, then the phone rings. He's like, don't go. I'm like, please. And you know what happened? Jackie, Shane's teammate, his best friend, who has no personality aside from being kind of stupid and dorky and having 4 children, his wife broke her ankle. And they need Shane and Ilya to take care of the children while they go to the emergency room. That's our monster of the week. That this is one thing that I kind of felt like a web novel that was written week by week or month to month. This felt like, that the writer sat down and was like, what can I write about today? Because nothing connects between the two, between 2 chapters. Things appear and they go away. As I said, there were only like 2 things, is that Ilya is kind of not doing great in general, and that they're afraid to be found out. That's the only thing. The only thing. And today's problem is, oh my God, which is not really a problem, with it just keeps them from having sex. That's the only thing that is bad about this. They have to take care of the children. Of course, they're both super fine with it. They enjoy it. They both like children. They're both so adorable with the children. And then, one of the okay, so we're being super inclusive, and I'm sorry. It's a good thing. All of these are good things. All of these are fine. I'm just super frustrated. And I'm gonna explain why. Because we have like a scene, there's 1 boy and 3 girls, and 1 girl wants to have her nails painted. And Ilya does it, and then Ilya's like, oh my God, I want to paint my nails as well, because Ilya's he's just so open. They're both so like perfect. They have nothing to learn. They have no flaw. And we're also inclusive. And so, and then the boy is like, wow, you're a boy. My dad, Hayden, he says, no, only boys don't do. And Shane also is like super open. He's not conflicted about anything except for them being found out. And he says, yeah, your dad does not know many people or many boys who paint their nails. And then they paint the boy's nails, and Ilya paints his nails. And then because of that, the girls are like, are you together? And do you want to get married? And then they have an impromptu child-led wedding ceremony, which makes both of them super sad, and they hate that they're so sad about that. They're weirdly sad about this, although we've been hit over the head how much they want to be. I don't care. And I've been wondering. It is a cute scene. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's totally contrived that everything is just initiated by these kids, and also that Shane is super fine with it when he hates that anyone knows about them. I mean, these kids go to school and just say, hey, today I married, or yesterday we had a wedding ceremony between Shane Hollander and Ilya Rozanov, these super famous hockey guys. It's not mentioned at all, but it doesn't matter. This is a cute scene, but it does not serve a story. I mean, I've been thinking about how much this could be a scene that in another narrative, when they never thought about being wed, and one of them was like, I don't want this wedding shit. I don't want this heteronormative shit, and the other does not dare to talk about this. And this would be the moment that they realize something, that one of them realizes or goes down to the level or up to the level of the other and accepts something that they didn't like before. No, it tells us nothing about them, nothing that we did not know before. And on paper it's cute because they cannot do it in real life, so they do this in a pretend setting. But it serves nothing. All we see is that they're both like sad about it, and they don't even talk about it. It's not like that afterwards they say, wow, I would like to do this in real life. They were just joking. They have two modes, which is either that they tease the other, which is fine, but they either tease the other or they're like super sappy and need to tell each other how much they love each other, which is also fine. But it's not fine for me, a high stakes and story girly, to have this in every freaking scene they're in. We're constantly hit over the head about how much they love in every scene. And I don't understand how you could not habituate. I mean, aren't you, when you just hit over the head, when someone certainly pokes at your heart, that your heart just gets numb? Okay, whatever. So, cute scene, just in favor of nothing. Nothing is accomplished. Whatever. Okay, so then we have the party, the Halloween party that Ilya gives to be a good, to prove himself to be a good team captain, good leader. And all of these people there are just paper thin. They're paper thin. I wrote this down when there was an awful interaction with Hayden. That is just so vapid. Everything that they talk about is so vapid because, of course, there's no theme. There is no problem. There's nothing to solve. Their relationship between Shane and Hayden is what is their relationship? What is it? You have no, I mean, it's fine. You don't need to have a plot-driven character. Like, romance usually isn't even plot-driven. The plot is there to make things, to give us some stakes and to make things dramatic. But in effect, what is important is the characters and how the two leads have their chemistry and how they change each other and how they harmonize or don't harmonize. So it's fine. But this book is not even character driven, because the characters are flat themselves. There is not one interesting relationship that Shane or Ilya have to anyone. Ilya has basically no relationships to anyone aside from the psychologist that will pop up later on. Oh my god, I still have one more page to go. Oh god. But Hayden is just so useless. Every scene is just so useless. It's not that, okay, there's no plot. And so, well, what can happen? Nothing can happen, but we can still get information about each other as character, or about Shane and Ilya as characters. And that's what these side characters are there for, right? To show the main leads in another setting, to give us another glimpse at them. But nothing happens. Nothing happens. It's just so vapid. They're also only bantering and teasing each other. That's all there is. And to tell us again what good friends they are. It's just the same thing that you find out with Ilya and Shane. Just the two. There's only two modes of interaction. Oh God. Why did I freak out about? Okay, yeah, the party. So the whole point of the party is only to show that Ilya sees all these couples and is alone because Shane cannot be there, and they can't show that they're together. This is all there is. This is all there is. There's no characters, no meaningful interaction with anyone. They're just like props there to show us, oh, he's sad that they can't be together. My God, it's so tiring. Okay, and then surprise, Shane appears in a surprise visit, and they have sex. Shane is so great. He knew it. And Ilya is super weepy when Shane leaves the next morning. And I don't know if it is then or the next chapter. It's all blending together. When Ilya is a little, I don't know, weepy again, Shane is like, yeah, you seem off. Maybe you should find professional help. And I'm like, man, how about you ask him what's going on? Oh God, no. He tells Shane to seek professional help. Oh God. And then the thing is that this is shown as Shane being supportive, when in reality there's so much that Ilya does not tell him. I know that some people say that he's like autistic or autism coded. Shane, that is. If he's autistic or not, it never comes up. It's not like Ilya is like, oh, I love him so much, but there are some things that he cannot give me, and that's sad, and I'm gonna deal with this. No, the narrative is always on Shane's side. The narrative loves Shane, and the narrative loves Ilya to suffer. In a way, if there is a self-insert, I think the self-insert is Shane, because Shane needs to do nothing. He comes up in a surprise visit and is there for Ilya, but they don't talk about it. He's not there emotionally. He's just there to be fucked. And the narrative wants for Ilya to prove again and again how much he loves Shane and how great he thinks Shane is. And this is kind of uncomfortable, honestly, for me to watch, because Shane's not suffering. He's just moany. And the narrative loves everything that he does. The narrative not really problematize. Sounds weird. Anything. It's just like Ilya does not like that Shane is not ready, but he's never angry enough for it to really make a difference. This feels like the fantasy of someone who wanted this very manly and very strong and guarded and dangerous Russian tree of a man to become like a wet blanket of love for herself. Oh, this is mean. But because Shane is just so, he has just like two personality traits, and that's it. And Ilya is there to simp over him. And that's the other thing, what the narrative does not make clear. It cannot commit the narrative, or the writer cannot commit to, is Shane super supportive or is Shane insensitive? Because he's kind of, there are a lot of moments when Ilya is like suffering, Ilya does not get what he wants, Ilya is pretending to be fine when he's not, and everyone in the narrative makes a point that one can hear it and Shane does not hear it. But then on the other hand, like, this, you should go see a psychiatrist, this is really framed as something super supportive, when in reality, tell him that he can, just listen to him, talk about him with his problems. Not once does Shane say, thank you so much, I know that you have given up so much stuff to be with me, this must be hard on you. Never! Shane just gets everything blown up his fucking ass. At 35%, an awful interaction with Hayden. It's just so bad. The party. And then at 37%, Ilya is ready to see a psychologist. And he mentions Svetlana. And I'm like, wow, she does not play any role in this. I had a pretty cool comment on another video about that it's cool that Rose and Svetlana are allies. And yeah, it is. It's nice that they're good about this. But both of them are absolutely negligible with regards to the show, or regards to the narrative and the characters of Shane and Ilya. And here he says, when he talks about, so he goes to the psychologist, and in the first session, he's talking about his mom and how he found her dead, obviously, and the father is really mustache twirlingly bad. It says something like, and he told her everything about her mother, how this happened and then how that happened. And it's just, why can't we see this? Mom is just as flat as dad. Mom does not get any characterization. We do not get any flashback on how they interacted in real life, what type of mother she was. This is so superficial. And okay, and again, the same goes for Hayden, the same goes for Svetlana, the same goes for Rose. It's always Rose is famous, Rose likes to shop. There's nothing to these characters. Oh God. And we have to constantly being reminded how much they love each other. Every fucking scene just ends in them, how much they love each other. Oh God, it's exhausting. They're together in bed. Shane wakes up and he had a dream about them having sex on the ice, in the middle of the ice. And they talk about it forever, goes on forever. And it gets the same intensity, the same space and page count as Ilya's session, as Ilya's psychological, I don't get it. Well, okay, but that's what we're here for, I guess. Then, and 42 seconds, we're again pretending that there could be some type of conflict. Out of nowhere, Shane gets a message, I don't know, from some higher up of the league, and it's like, this happens within, let it be 5 pages, maybe 7. Shane gets, and we're more than 200 pages in, so this is like 2%, not even 2%. He gets a call from this guy, and the very next scene, he goes to the guy, to this higher up, and he practically encourages Shane not to come out because he does not want this. I have forgot his name, the guy I don't want to talk about, comes out openly or publicly and gets the whole cottage, makes the cottage thing happen. And then Shane calls Ilya and says, well, he, durch die Blume, sagt man auf Deutsch, through the flower is what you say in German. And he told me that he does not want the same, he doesn't want me to be a big advocate, and he doesn't want me to tell anyone, but he did not say directly, and I feel gross. And Ilya's sad, but he does not tell Shane. I'm constantly thinking how you can make this into a real story, but I don't think that you can do this. You would have to cut like 80%. I've been wondering, okay, so this is a good villain. He's powerful, and he can take things away from Shane, and he's not direct, so it's hard to fight against him. And he can make Shane like bring out the worst in Shane, because Shane's fear is the worst part of this, right? That's what makes Ilya suffer, because they cannot show how they show their love in front of everyone. But if you would employ him, it's 47% in. It would make no sense. You would have to cut and restructure like everything. You would have to build up relationships. You would have to change so much about this to make this into a story. I don't know if the fans, they would think, what is this? This is not the book that I read and loved. So I honestly don't know. But there is another thing that happened afterwards, and Ilya went to the psychologist again, and he does not want to tell her, for whatever reason, that he is with another player. And for the first time, we're 50% in. We're 50% in. Maybe that's the big midpoint. That's the big satisfaction that we get as a reader. It's the first time that we find out what the problem would be. And she asks what the worst case scenario would be. That they would fire him, and because he does not have a job, he would have to go back to Russia, which would be awful, because if it is about him and Shane, it's clear that he is bisexual, and that would get him problems in Russia. But the best case would be, or let's say the most realistic case would be, is this, when she asks him, he says, people would not care much, and we could be together. And he says that the only thing that they would lose, really, that's the worst case. And he's like, that would probably not happen, because we're in Canada, Shane could marry me, I could stay here, no problem in that. And that really the only thing that they lose is that they have some more years of hockey in them, and that they would not be allowed to go on playing hockey. They're suffering, and I have to suffer. Well, it's self-chosen suffering, but I have to suffer like almost every chapter, hearing they cannot be together, they love each other so much, and this is so awful. Every night they don't see the other, which would not be solved by being out together, by the way. Every day they cannot see each other, they suffer. It's so bad. They long for the other so much. And everything they would have to give up is to play hockey after they have achieved like anything. And Ilya's really like, well, but I would choose him. There's no question about this. God, this is just... I mean, these are negative stakes, if you will. Like, the thing they would lose is actually not worse than what they're going through at the moment. And this should not be this way. It should be the other way around. The stakes, the thing that they lose if they cannot make it, or they're not well trained enough, or not savvy enough, or don't love each other enough, or whatever, should be really bad and should be on par, if not even worse, with the suffering they go through at this moment. But it's the other way around. This is just so bad. And so either way, if you want to make this into a viable working narrative, you would have to work on the stakes. The stakes do not exist. And we never find out why Shane is just so adamant. Why is this so important for Shane? Why is hockey so important for him? Why are these few more years of hockey so important for him? This would be the thing that you would have to find out and employ and put into the narrative that's not there. And I don't know, that would change them as characters, maybe beyond recognition. Yeah, that was that. And this is such a slog. I'm counting the I mean, I know I did this for myself. But God, this is really the most boring thing I've ever read. And usually I would have stopped like immediately, I think. So that's not fair. But yeah, I'm gonna, how do you say it, slog through to the next 75%, the end of Act 2. So coming up with some opinions, even though I'm not at 75%, but at 51%, because the next chapter is super interesting. It is Ilya being on the next appointment, having a next appointment with his psychologist, and maybe I was wrong. Maybe midpoint, something big is happening here. And I think that there are a lot of emblematic things happening here at the same time. So she is inquisitive about his social life, and she asks, "What do you do?" I'm quoting here, "when you aren't playing hockey and when your boyfriend isn't around." And turns out he's not doing very much. What he used to do when he was not playing is, he says, I had sex like all the time. I went out, picked up. I went to clubs and parties and I had a great time. And she asks, "But now you're in a monogamous relationship." "Yes, and I'm glad. I love being with him and I don't miss." He rotated his hand in the air, sleeping around. And we get a recap. It's not even it's not a real scene, just a recap of what happened. So, but at one point, Ilya tells his psychologist that he was okay, that he told Shane that he was okay if Shane wanted to be with others. They were not monogamous at that moment. I'm quoting. "Shane hadn't taken Ilya's offer well. He thought it had been Ilya's backhanded way of letting Shane know that he cheated on him, or that he wanted to. Ilya had told him that he didn't believe in cheating because he didn't own Shane. It had ended with Shane storming out of Ilya's house in Ottawa and driving back to Montreal, which had been a horrible waste of a rare night they could have had together. He'd ignored Ilya's text for 3 days after. Then on the 4th day, he called Ilya from his hotel room in Philadelphia and said, 'You really wouldn't mind if I had sex with someone else?' And that was when Ilya had realized how much he would mind. He felt sick at the idea of someone else touching Shane, and he hadn't been sure if Shane was asking because he'd already done it, or if he was about to or what. Maybe someone had been heading to his Philadelphia hotel room at that very moment. But Ilya had said, but all Ilya had said was, of course not. If that is what you want. I don't want, you fucking moron, Shane had spat. The relief had been so intense that Ilya had nearly sunk to his knees in his living room. I'm sorry. Okay, that was that. And then it pops up. It's the first time that the narrative or another person really makes a problem, really lays out a problem for them. So it's about Ilya's mental state and how he's not doing good. And she asks, is it something you could talk to him about? Isn't it why I'm here? Ilya asked with a hint of irritation, so I don't have to burden him with this. I thought I could talk to you and fix myself so I can be good enough for him. This is the first time that we are seeing that there is really an internal, that could be, or let's say the first time that this happens explicitly, because in a way it's happening all the time. Ilya's like, oh, I'm suffering, but I'm not going to tell him. And this is the first time that someone puts the finger on this. And he really says, I want to be good enough. This is a very good, a really good problem, an internal conflict, a romantic conflict for a love story. Very, very good. A heavy silence hung in the room for. Then Galina said very gently, what do you think Shane would say if he heard those words? Isn't this great? I felt so so alive when that happened. I mean, like, wow. And finally, someone is challenging the two of them. And in a way, someone is also for the first time challenging Shane, that not everything Shane does is perfect, because the question is, why is he not telling him? Why would Ilya not feel enough for Shane, right? When Shane is doing everything fine. And that is the important, and that makes an internal or an inner romantic conflict so interesting, because the question is, where does it come from, and how can we, and if both play a role in this is a great endeavor to make two people like overcome an obstacle and grow together, become a better version of themselves. And yes, that was really good. And she asks, what do you think Shane would say if he heard those words? If he knew you didn't want to burden him or didn't think you were good enough for him? God, Ilya could imagine Shane's face so clearly, all twisted into his scrunched confusion expression. He would say, what the hell are you talking about? You're already good enough for me, Ilya smiled. He would say, you're perfect for me. His smile fell. He doesn't understand, though. There are some things that I cannot talk about with him. Which means that, again, the narrative has to make sure that Shane is perfectly fine, although there were so many moments when he would just have to ask Ilya, what is it? Talk to me. No, what he did was, yeah, you seem depressed. Maybe you should get professional help. So honestly, I have no idea how long. So the moment, again, that this thing is introduced, it gets totally deflated. So I have no, I'm not very, the way that the narrative is structured, or the way that the book is structured, I'm very confident that they were gonna talk in the next scene and iron everything out in the next scene. And this is another thing that I ended up realizing, and why I wanted to share this now, is that I was wondering if the writing of episode 1 and 2 was the fluke, that you had really escalation, you had fight writing, and you really had a conflict that was woven through all the different scenes? And the answer is yes. I'm pretty sure that the answer is yes. And I've come to realize that looking at the cottage sequence, the cottage episode that I really despised. I mean, I've been dunking on the tuna melt scene, but tuna melt had at least some type of escalation, and it ended with a bang. And although Ilya did a 180 personality-wise, there was at least something going on. But I think now, reading this book for like 50%, I think that the way that the author writes is rather the way that the cottage scene is, or the cottage episode is structured. Like, we're fading in and out of situations. There is no through line that connects all these different scenes, and we're just popping up. This is what went down on this. They met this day, and that's why we have to be with them from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. And they have to talk about something. Okay, they could talk about this. And this is exactly how it's not the narrative or the scenes that we see or the dialogue that we have is not driven by any type of narrative question or dramatic question. It's just we see people talking, and we fade in and out of scenes in which they talk, in which they do things and they don't do things. The antithesis to dramatic writing. And that's for me, that is definitely exhausting. And circling back to the moment that made me really like cackle evilly was again we're being told, we're not in the scene. We are being told what all went down when Ilya was proposing that they do not need to be monogamous. And I still think this narrative cannot stop itself from making Ilya a total simp. I don't like that word, because I love a committed and devoted romantic character in the story. And the more jaded and the more arrogant and the more closed off that character has been before, the better, the sweeter it is. But Ilya needs to be the one to prove himself all the time, and it happens here again. And there is this air, especially about him, of so many overly dramatic, unearned emotional moments that we have to be fed, or that is being told to us. He was so happy that Shane did not sleep with another man, although he told him that it's fine with him, and he felt like it was fine with him, that he almost went down on his knees in his living room. It's very close to a lot of Thai BL stuff, like Lovely Writer, when we've seen the couple like being together, but they never, that's what's happening in Lovely Writer at midpoint, right? Jean finds out that Napsub has lied to him, that they knew each other from when they were children, and that he just wooed him into a relationship under false pretense. Stupid stuff. But in the end, when it comes out, they're all so sad, and they're crying, and they're screaming, and it's just not adequate to the situation, to everything that we have seen before. There is I never understand why Ilya is so head over heels for Shane. We're just constantly fed that, after 10 years, their sex life was still so great, and they were so fine, and there are no problems, and they're always like overwhelmed with how much they love someone, and that's fine. I think this does exist, and although I don't know, maybe that exists, that after 10 years you're still like, I don't know. And And I get the feeling that when you're in love and you see someone suddenly out of the blue, you're like totally overwhelmed. You cannot believe that this person allows you to be with them. I get it. But the interesting thing is that this seems overdone. This seems too much because of this lack of conflict. I'm so... the more I read this book, or it's interesting, reading this book really gave me so much appreciation for conflict. When I started writing, I had no idea about how important conflict is, and especially for a romance, the conflict is what gives you an idea about the depth of the love the characters have for each other. We have to be fed, we have to be told that Ilya would wanted to go down on his knees and pray to the heavens that Shane is not with another man, because there is no other way that he can prove his love, because there is no conflict. There is nothing that he can go up against. And this is what the conflict in a romance is for. It is there to give the characters a way to prove themselves. And this is that what true? I don't know who said it, but action is character. And since they don't act, and it is the conflict that forces the characters to act and to reveal themselves, show who they really are and what they're capable of. And since in this book there is no problem, not really, there is no antagonist to go against, to prove yourself against, there is no way that Ilya is able to show his love. He can only explain it. He can tell us, but he can never ever show, because he has nothing to fight for. And I think that is to his character's detriment, because again, it's all telling. We have to be told all the time how great they are, how much they love each other, and what a good team they are. But we can never see this, and that's why these emotions, like falling to, I'm sorry, I'm making a big thing out of this, falling to your, I was eye-rolling so hard, falling on your knees, because you're so happy, you're so content, you were so fearful, your heart almost stopped beating. That's why this feels too much. This would make sense if there were because there are no stakes at the same time. And I know in real life this might feel that way, but in a narrative, this is all pretend. And I think that's fascinating how important a conflict is, how much this gives to your character. And I think that these characters suck, and Ilya is especially lame, and he would profit so much from having a fight to fight, from having something to go. I mean, imagine if he would have a moral decision to make that would really show the depth of his love. And that's another thing. Like, this author always chooses the lamest version of itself, the lamest version of the story that they could write. Because in the book before, I think there was this moment when Shane's parents asks him, so what? How's this going to work? And they say, and some of them says in the end, I don't even know, maybe it was Shane. Yeah, we talked about it. And he could play, I think it was Ilya. And he said, I could play for Ottawa or something like that, and I could be close. I mean, imagine if that was not something, first, that they had already settled on in these god-awful, boring cottage scenes, but that it would be something that was not settled, and that there would have been a moment in which Ilya could decide, and that there was some hockey guy coming to him and saying, you we give you the opportunity to play for an even better team than Boston. And then there is Ottawa, who say we cannot offer you much, but maybe you would like to do it either way. And there is a moment when he has there's a gun to his head and he has to decide, and he makes the decision. And this would show Shane, and it would show us there would be tension. There would be, oh my God, is he ready to do this? Is he going to do it? What if not? Oh my God! And then he doesn't. He makes the decision that is pro their relationship. That would be so much more intense, and that would be would tell so much more about his character. But no, we're being told. We're only being told, and the reason is that there is no conflict. So I'm checking in at 46%, because finally things are coming to a pass. We have a conflict that is built up, and we have a neat little mini arc. Finally, something is exploding. What's been under the surface is now breaking out. We have a head-on lover spat between Shane and Ilya. And it's Christmas, and Ilya is invited to someone's party and wants to take Shane to the party as just a fellow hockey player who lives in the same city. And of course, Shane says no. It's kind of funny that in these moments when Ilya is supposed to be angry, we're not in Shane's perspective, so he seems like a complete brick. Like he has no idea of how humans work, whereas when we are in his perspective, he is kind of understanding and knows it. So that there's a huge disconnect between the two, but it is this time Ilya's perspective. So Shane's super dumb, cannot understand why Ilya could be frustrated that he's not able to go to the party with Shane. And finally everything comes up that has been going on under the surface. And Shane's like, I don't know what's going on with you. And Ilya's like, he wants to tell other people and what they are for each other, yawn. And because he talked about this with Ilya, with his psychologist, that Shane has all the friends, a lot of people in Shane's orbit know that they're a couple, and there's almost, Ilya basically has no one. And this is what he says, I have no one, Ilya said, no one I can talk to about us. And Shane says, it's not easy for me either, you know. We're both hiding, we both made sacrifices. And that's the great point. I felt kind of vindicated, because he was like, what sacrifices, Shane? What have you given up? That was a nice change of pace. I gotta say, Shane had it coming. I'm happy that he got called out. And that's the first time he says, seriously, if I get outed, our fucking careers might be over. Everything I care about, Shane snapped his finger, gone. Everything? Ilya said flatly. Shane rolled his eyes. Not everything, but hockey's pretty fucking important to me. And he says, and Ilya's like, no shit. And Shane, oh, fuck you. Sorry, I still want to win cups instead of smoking weed with my teammates between losses, which is such a shitty thing to say. He's awful. He's really, really awful, putting more salt into the wound. What a dick. And of course, Ilya's angry. And he says, and this is interesting, because this gives us an idea, or this should give us an idea, I think it's still very weak, an idea about the stakes, because we still don't know what Ilya gave up. I mean, he gave up a career, but how important was this? Here he says, the words hit Ilya like a cross-check to the teeth. Shane truly didn't understand anything. Not what Ilya had given up for him, certainly. Ilya could be in Boston right now, leading one of the top teams in the league to more Stanley Cups, more of the same, obviously. He could be breaking more records and winning more awards. That's it. Circling back to the problem that the stakes are kind of meh. And Ilya said, if you would choose between hockey and me, what would you choose? And Shane says, of course I would, but Ilya would choose you, but Ilya does not believe it. And Shane asks, yeah, how would you choose? And the mere question makes Ilya super angry. He throws Shane out, and I felt really good. I felt good about that. I hated Shane. He's awful. And he says, I already chose you, Hollander, which is fine. Which is well done. If it was always like this, that was actually the easiest read so far. I rolled my eyes a lot, but that was a quick read. And okay, Shane goes back to Montreal and cannot reach Ilya. It's the next page. The next page, he is all understanding. The next page, he's like, oh yeah, I know, I've been bad. He gave up everything for me, and that's why he did not tell me. So, again, all the air has been sucked out of the conflict right away, but well, whatever. He's super apologetic, and he wants to do right by Ilya, but he cannot go. He cannot reach Ilya because Ilya shut off his phone. And so he calls mom when Ilya does not answer. And they're doing something that is happening in the next, 20 pages that really irritate me. I feel so defensive towards Ilya. And here I was like, fuck all of you. Poor Ilya. He's just done so bad by the narrative. So Shane calls his mom, and she's like, oh my God, did you have trouble with your coach? How could you? And Shane says, no, with Ilya. And the concern left her face immediately. She even smiled. There's nothing you could do to ruin things with him. What happened? I hate this. And I'm going to explain why when the next crazy scene is happening. But this narrative is so mean to him in a way. Well, there's nothing you can do that could change. This is a human being. He has needs. Ilya, as I said, my hypothesis is that he is the fantasy of, there is a guy who's very rough, who's very closed off his feelings, and he is 100%. He lies. He's kneeling in front of you. He kisses the ground you walk. And it's one thing that the narrative tells me, that his mom tells me as well. You will see the next thing that happens is even worse. Okay, and Shane looks, and that's the same, in the same vein. After talking to his mom, Shane looks or takes a look at, I think, Ilya's Insta, but there's not much there. He does not do any captions or anything. He just takes photos of stuff like the presents that he got from Shane and the rings that they've been given during this impromptu child wedding ceremony and stuff. And he realized that most of Ilya's posts were in weird cryptic ways about Shane. Shane thinks. His entire account was like a secret diary of their relationship, full of inside jokes and little references that only Shane would understand. And Shane hadn't even bothered to look at it before. Not really. He looked now. He scrolled until his eyes were so blurry he had to give up and sob into his hands instead. How could Shane have doubted for a second how fiercely Ilya loved him? I'm telling you, that is the only personality, the only feature that he has, the reason he is here is to love without a doubt, nothing can happen that can destroy. You can be mean to him, you can hate him, he can be depressive, he can not want to live anymore, but there's nothing that can happen that will make this love less than it is at the moment. And I get that this is a fantasy that's pretty cool. In romance, and I get that people other people, I don't. This is parent love. This is unconditional love, and I personally do not like unconditional love. But in a romance, I'm gonna talk about later on when I read the other thing that happened, because woohoo. Ilya goes to his psychologist, and she sorts everything out for him. They're all right. You have to do more maybe on your own. And they think about what he would want to tell Shane, and they're on the same page that Shane needs to be brought in. And again, Ilya's super apologetic, like they fight, and then immediately they're all fine. It's whatever. It's okay. It's okay. So they talk and they apologize to the other right away per FaceTime. And Ilya tells Shane that he goes to the psychologist, and Shane swallows his anger about this. Ilya's such a wimp. As I said, I think that episodes 4 to 6 are really rather representative of the way that the author writes, and this is such a episode 4 to 6 move. What happens next, and the thing that propels their relationship onto the next level. Don't you think that it has something to do with character arc, or with development of the characters, or with obstacles that are, I don't know, being fought or being overcome? Ilya is on a plane, and Ilya's on a plane, and what happens? We get turbulences, and oh my God, it seems like the plane's going to crash. We're going to crash, in italics. I'm going to die. I'll never see Shane again. We were going to have dogs and kids. These are his thoughts the moment that he thinks he dies. Shane, what if Ilya died? What would Shane do? How would he mourn? Several rows behind him, Ilya heard Nick Shrina yelling about a fire. He didn't want to look. Fuck, this was really happening. They were going to die, and Ilya would never get to have the big conversation with Shane. That's what he thinks. He does not think about his mother. He does not think about his wounds, not what he, no, it is about the conversation he was planning to have. They would not have this. Fuck it, Ilya opened, so he could not text for whatever reason. He can only write via Instagram. I don't know how that works, but he started typing a new private message to Shane Hollander, hockey player. Shane, he wrote, then stopped. He had no idea what to say. There was no possible way to put everything he needed to tell Shane into words. But the plane was on fire, and Ilya didn't have time to think. He wrote what was in his terrified heart. You're the best thing in my life. And 10,240 people marked this phrase. You're the best thing in my life. It's poetry. His eyes were blurry, making it hard to type. He quickly swiped at his eyes and kept writing. I love you, always. Maybe from the first time I saw you. He let his mind take him away from the nightmare happening around him and back to a rink parking lot in Saskatchewan. Ilya couldn't remember what Shane had said exactly that first time they'd met. He only remembered freckles splashed over rosy red cheeks. He remembered Shane's hand being unfairly warm when he shook it. He remembered being studied by dark, earnest eyes. It was certainly possible that Ilya had lost his heart in that moment. It took his brain a long time to catch up, but his heart had known right away. So he was right away in love. From the very first moment, he was in love with Shane before they talked, just by seeing each other. He wished Shane could respond. He hated thinking about Shane, seeing these messages after. He'd keep them forever. Ilya knew he would. Fuck, he had to say something really good. I'm thinking only about you right now. 1,000,000 memories. Thank you for those. 10,089 people marked this. Whatever happens, I'm with you, safe in your heart. I believe it. He did. Ilya only had vague ideas of the afterlife and any gods who may be waiting there, but he believed his soul would stay with Shane, however it could. He believed the people who loved stayed with you until it was your time to go. He often felt his mother with him, and he knew he'd do the same for Shane. And maybe he'd see his mother again soon. That was a nice thought. Ilya pressed his palm to his chest, feeling the crucifix pendant through the fabric of his shirt. He prayed quietly and with no real structure. He murmured requests for whoever was listening to keep Shane safe, to let him live a long, happy life. Not to let his plane crash, because Ilya had wasted so much fucking time hiding how much he loved Shane. From the world, from Shane, from himself. He needed more time. He needed to love Shane properly. And the plane, they have an emergency landing, and the last sentence is, "Thank you," Ilya said, gazing at the ceiling of the plane. "I won't waste it." Okay, and the next thing that is happening, they talk via voicemail, everything's fine. And Shane finally asks Ilya to come out together. He asks for his hand, and Ilya says yes, and then they fuck. So, do you see how, again, it is external things that happen that just give the impulse for the relationship, for problems to be solved, for the relationship to get into the next phase. They're not learning anything. Things are happening to them and they react passively to these things. But of course it is like that because they have no internal problem to fight. There is no other way. Things from outside have to bring in the energy for them to they don't even change, to do the stuff that they should have done way before. So we're here with that, which is fine, but we are at 64%, which means that all of this, that they fight, that finally everything comes out, that they do not talk to each other, Ilya finally dying, and Shane finally finding the courage to ask him to go public with their relationship, is 6%. I don't know what's going to happen from now on. I mean, I think we go back, the narrative goes back into dormant mode, and we have a lot of awful, uneventful planning sessions. I think he's going to talk to Rose or to Heated. I think that they have to talk to everyone first, and it's going to be awful. And if they're good, we get this hockey type, these hockey guy or these hockey higher up to be mean. Also, maybe we talk to, what's his face? The guy I don't want to talk about. And we constantly have to hear that people are hot. Every gay person, every gay man, and even every other man, we are being informed that they're all hot. Just so you know, because otherwise it would be boring, wouldn't it? It would be boring if this book was not full of hot people. So, hot guys. I think there is, I don't like Ilya being treated like this. I mean, I get the idea that it's a mean as old as time in a romance, that when you want, so it's either jealousy, that you must have a machination So that the person who's not ready to commit to the love yet, who's not ready to say that he or she's in love, something must happen that could make them lose the other person, either through jealousy or through death. It's so old. It's okay. As I said, it's just an external impulse. It has nothing to do with the characters. Says nothing about the characters. Well, that's fine. But Ilya's just so lame. I mean, I get the fantasy. No, I don't get the fantasy. Actually, I don't get the fantasy. Because if you fantasize that you can do whatever, you can be an asshole, however, you can do everything, you can be bad, you can be amoral, you can hurt the other as much as you want, and that person will still not waver in her or his love for you. It's a very narcissistic fantasy. And I think, of course, fantasies are narcissistic. They're self-indulgent. It makes sense. But to me, Ilya loses every agency, every bit of agency that he has, every bit of individuality. His love for Shane feels like he is under a spell that cannot be broken, that he cannot go out of. You can do nothing that would change this man's love for you. And to me, this makes him, he is very passive, like the whole time. He decides absolutely nothing. When he is about to die, he only thinks of Shane. Ilya has nothing. He does not even think about his mom. He does not even have a lame childhood trauma that comes up again and again. He has nothing. And this love that he has, it feels like magic. I cannot understand why he loves Shane. And not only because we hear, no, Shane can do whatever he wants. Ilya will still love him. So there's no cause and effect here. This means this love has nothing to do with how Shane is and how he was. And again, when the plane is going to crash, he's like he loved him from the moment that he saw him. They have not talked. We have nothing about Shane. It's not that Shane did something extraordinary, that Shane has a good heart, or that Shane understands him in a way that no one else does, or that Shane has gone through with things. There is nothing about Shane that would warrant this type of adoration. And I understand that the fantasy is I'm being my normal, lame, conflicted, and awful at times, corny self, and I'm going to be loved in a almost biblical, almost magical way. Like that's the whole shtick, right? With Twilight. You have this normal person, and then suddenly like a supernatural being that could have everyone, that has lived through the centuries, wants you and no one else. But I think that a lot of people love it, but from a character standpoint and from a writing standpoint, this really devalues Ilya as an active character, as a person in his own right. He has nothing going for himself. He has no fights to fight. He has no other interests. He has no goals. And it also diminishes Shane, because the narrative does not, the narrative tells us how great Shane is all the time, but there is no moment that we see Shane doing something that would warrant this type of admiration, this type of dependency. And that's why we have to be told all the time. And I'm constantly thinking, man, I would love for Shane to do something great. They're so lame characters. They could be epic. They could really make big sacrifices and show what they're capable of. But, well, that's not how this narrative works. I need Shane. I would have there must be a moment that we see Shane, that you as a reader explain or understand what is so lovable about Shane, because I don't see it. Well, I cannot wrap my head around how this is appealing, how such a passive, limp biscuit or limp, sad piece of toast character. His love has no value. It is there and it always will be there. So again, there are no stakes. And who wants a person? Well, that's the fantasy. To have someone you can treat like shit and they still love you. But does that make for great drama? I would argue. So we're back at the last leg of the book, and I don't know if it was because I had a doctor's appointment, a lot of time to read, but I breezed through the last part. So I'm trying to give you the plot, but I probably will not be able to do it. Okay, so let's see. They're now engaged, and the next sentence is, Ilya felt like a fucking superhero as he got dressed for his next game. He is head over heels that he finally is getting married. And I have to stop. I have to rant. Oh my God. I don't know. I don't. If this is misogynistic in any way, but these guys, the men, feel like they're women. I think it sounds strange, but they're so meant and in a way unrealistic, hyper feminine women, not like the normal women. They're so obsessed with marriage. There are a lot of other couples that are bound to be set up. We have at least one other couple that has formed in the background. They're super lame and they have even less problems. They have even less stakes or even more uninteresting than Shane and Ilya. But it seems as though Ilya's super obsessed with their relationship and they're always perfect for each other, and they're so preoccupied with marriage and all these heteronormative and relationship stuff. And I don't want them to feel like stereotypical men, but that is just, it's too much. Like on the same page, Ilya says, he hadn't told Galina that he'd gotten engaged. It still felt too new, too precious to share with anyone. It's like he accomplished the main goal in his life, and that is to marry a man. I mean, if you would portray a woman like that, wouldn't it feel icky as a woman to read this? When this girl, this woman, is only about getting the man and getting married? I don't know. But he tells us still that he is not ready to tell Shane everything about depression. He still feels like he does not want to trouble Shane with all of this. Okay, and he's so happy, because being engaged is a superpower. Being married is the way to go. They win the game. And we have a lot of useless interactions afterwards, I think just to set up other couples, other boring-ass couples. And then they have this all-star tournament when Shane and Ilya, I think they have a race about who's the fastest skater, and Shane wins because he always wins. But then we get finally some antagonism. The hockey higher-up, I think is Crowell, is there, and in passing, like every important, not even, things are not important, but everything that happens, if something happens, it happens when people talk to each other. It happens in dialogue. It happens in exposition. And it's the same thing here. We find out that this Crowell does not like that one of Ilya's teammates, because there is this evil other player, but he's so in the background. He's just mentioned like 2 times, who has like harassed, or who has allegations of harassing women. And I think the gay he's not out yet, who bonded with Ilya about being gay. Just posted DV and SH sources, and our evil hockey higher up just did not like this and kind of reprimanded him. And Ilya and Shane are really mad about this. And Ilya tells Shane that he's the better hockey player. Right. And Shane and Ilya go to confront the hockey higher up, and it's useless. They achieve nothing. They just complain and nothing happens. He's just so mustache on. But he will come back. So great antagonism, I guess. And some guy from Ilya, I think the one who gets another book, comes out, and Ilya's jealous. Comes out to the team, and Ilya's jealous. And Galina tells Ilya that he has to talk to someone about Shane. And that's it. We're not going deeper. Yeah, it's Troy. Troy's the name of the guy. Ilya tells him. Then Troy comes out publicly. So it is yet another out player that has no negative consequences whatsoever. When Ilya tells him, he's like, it was the greatest thing that I've ever did. And I'm so, because they're all always, they need to be in a relationship. You cannot have like a free agent, or they cannot be alone. They all have to be coupled up. It's very heteronormative. They have to even this couple, we see in the background and in exposition, we find out, and Ilya, of course, clocked it, and he sees them, and he's like, oh, they're so perfect for each other, and they love each other, and you can see how much they love each other. It's so great. They end up living together. As soon as someone is gay, that person is in love with someone else who's also so sweet and so great, and they end up together willy-nilly. And of course, they will move in together, and soon probably they will marry. So we have, but that's a personal preference, whatever. But this guy's all about, it's the greatest thing that I ever did. So nothing negative. And we have had an evil father of his. He does not come up. He was in one scene just telling us that this guy had an evil dad who was over control. I don't know. I don't even know what his deal was. He was just evil. And he does not come up. So no negative consequences to coming out, which is cute, but means we have no stakes. And Ilya's just not ready, still not ready to tell Troy about Shane. But, things are coming to a pass. Things are happening. Things are getting super tense. Yeah, Ilya gets a dog. And Shane's first thought is all the reasons why he should not get a dog. And then it's all about the dog. And of course, the dog, we're being told all of the time, is just so good. There's nothing you have to do about him. He's not barking in the car. And Shane is like, oh, it's Anya. I love the name Anya for a dog. I love these normal names for dogs. And Anya was my favorite. So kudos for that, Ilya. And of course, Shane is like, oh, she's surprisingly easy to take care of. She's just, not even the dog poses any problem. Yeah, and I'm thrilled that she likes to go on car rides, because imagine if the dog would not like to go in a car. So, and then the big thing happens. Remember that we have been like building up to them coming out like all the time. That was the only through line the whole time. And remember that I said that nothing happens in this book that is actively influenced by the characters. And I've been thinking about this all the time. What is there to tell? What is the real reason? What would be the thing about this book that would inspire me to make a video about? And I think if there's one thing, that it is agency. Because agency is the one thing these characters, I'm telling you, never have. Do you know how they come out? It's that Hayden, my favorite, Hayden, whose only features are that he has a lot of children, is kind of dumb. The way they come out is that Hayden made this fan time, or whatever that is, where celebrities make, for money, greeting videos to their fans. Shane and Ilya happened to be in one of these videos in the background. Through the window or through a mirror, they appeared on this video without anyone knowing. And the next day, the person who, I don't know, commissioned this video put it on Twitter, and now they're out. Nothing happens on their own accord, even that. Every important plot point is driven by coincidence and external, coincidental because we don't have an antagonist. It's just higher power who drives the narrative here. Real life is probably like this. So this is probably one of the most accurate depictions of what real life feels like. Things are fleeting, coming in and out, except for the fact that these characters do not have a core, a personality core. They're just super fleeting. But everything is just influenced by outside forces. There is nothing they do. And even their growth just so happens. So that's what it is. And the thing is, they're super fine with it. There's no problem at all. They don't even argue about this, or they react differently. They react the same. And Shane, when it comes out that Hayden did, and even that and still everything is just happening. It is happening in exposition. They do not look at Twitter. No one comes to them. It all happens off screen. Hayden comes to them and tells them, "Oh, I fucked up." And Shane is afraid that Ilya is angry in that situation. Like, it was such a big deal all the time that Shane did not want this to happen. That he's so afraid that they're arguing about this. And then Shane is afraid that Ilya gets angry after Ilya wanted to come clean of it. These characters... You can flip-flop them around, except for the thing that Shane is, "Oh, I'm eating so clean. I'm so not high maintenance, what is it? High strung. I'm so awkward." And Ilya, he's like an asshole. We have to get told that Ilya is an asshole. Oh my God, I'm coming from one rant to the other. And Ilya, Ilya has more or less a kind of distinct voice, because he's like, if he's not super hyper feminine, emotional, like a 13-year-old girl dreaming of marriage and always like super, he's so in love, he's all about love and nothing else. He is kind of quippy, and he makes like nice banter, and he has some good jokes to make people feel bad, which I appreciate. However, and everyone reacts to these quips and to this banter with like, "Oh, you're such an asshole." Like, no one can quip back. And these are grown men, hockey players. They do not have a retort for this. Come on. We were always being told, like Ilya is the only, like, as if Ilya was the only player in the world, or the only man in the world who jokes around and who takes the piss out of people. Ugh, I hate this. They're all so lame. And when they are alone, they both suddenly begin to laugh about it. It's funny. They have just the exact same reaction to this. And we have been dancing around this question, what they're going to do with the coming out. And then they laugh about it. It's all fine. Honestly, really everyone is fine. But Shane has some problems with his coach. And they're angry at him. But you know what? It doesn't matter. He comes into into the locker room the next day when there is training, and everyone is like, oh, everyone is hurt and everyone's angry, and the coach is angry at him, and we're supposed to feel like this is a really bad thing. And I don't know what he says. These are the boys, the man he played with for his best friends. For the last 10 years, he played with them, and Shane is just so. They have to be set up as bad because, spoilers, Shane is going to leave them. Shane is going to end up playing in Ottawa. So they're all bad. There is no nuance. Ottawa reacts they're so great. The team is just, everybody embraces Ilya and everybody is evil in Montreal. And it falls so incredibly flat because we know none of these people. We, at best, we know their name. And after that, Ilya and Shane are completely on the same page. And when the hockey higher up confronts them together, the higher up wants them to sign a paper or a document that says, this was all a prank. We're not in a committed relationship. It was just a prank. And of course they say no. The thing is, there's so many out players. We've been hit over the head how many out players there are. And then we're still being told, but it's a problem because they're rivals. Oh God, it's so stupid. They just read the paper that this guy set up. And it was an easy out. Ilya knew this statement wouldn't fool everyone, but he suspected enough hockey fans would believe this lie. Pranks in hockey were normal. Falling in love with your rival wasn't. This is something the hockey world, even other NHL players, could understand. We're still going with this stupid rival thing. I cannot understand this. It's awful. Oh, and then another thing I just want to read to you, or that really irks me, makes me so angry. I've already talked about this, how much we have to be reminded. So everything, nothing is shown here. Nothing, really nothing. I would have trouble coming up with things that are not explained but shown. One of the worst things for me in a romance is that we constantly have to be told how much they're in love. This is on page 3. Oh my God, I read almost 400 pages of this. Page 389. I think they're making a photo of, or they take a picture together for Ilya's Instagram. I don't know. And Shane said quietly, they look at the photo, look at us. They both looked so fucking in love. It was disgusting. I'm keeping these ones, Ilya said firmly. Oh, shut up. And we constantly have to be told how in love they look and how really disgusting and off-putting it is that how much they love each. It's nauseating. It's so sickly sweet. It's like I'm being fed fondant, or fondant, I don't know how they call it, the whole time. It's like I'm like frosting is like chucked down my throat all the time. It's oh, it sucks. It sucks so much. Because telling is okay if it is backed up with showing, and here nothing is shown. I mean, you could argue that Shane became a badass when they talked to the higher up, and he was now like, we are together, I'm gonna I'm gonna stand to my man, I'll stand with my man, and all this shit that he was not able to do before, that he just happened to be able to do now for no reason. We don't know, it just so happened. You could take that, but since we don't know what he did to achieve that, this is not an achievement, it's just something that happens. I like that Shane gets trouble for the whole thing from his teammates, so that there is at least some type of trouble, and that he comes out as a good guy even once. But again, as this falls completely flat and is completely in vitro, because the relationships were not developed at all. And I'd like to read you how this interaction with his friend JJ, who I'm not sure we have read at least one interaction in the whole book about, how this goes down. I felt sorry for you. I thought you were carrying a broken heart around, but the whole time you've been fucking Ilya Rozanov. Anger shot through Shane. He stepped towards JJ, which meant he had to tip his head back to see his face. Because he's so small, you know. Oh, God. Ilya's my boyfriend. I love him, and I have for years. Don't make it sound like ... less. Oh shit, I'm sorry, JJ said sarcastically. They're best friends. Obviously, I should have known about your epic love affair with Ilya fucking Rozanov, because you've told me so much about it. You're one of my best friends, Shane. What the F? Maybe, Shane said tersely. I thought you wouldn't exactly be supportive. Of what? Sneaking around with your effing rival? This is so stupid. Shane tipped a hand towards JJ. See? JJ turned his back to him, the rage obviously in the rise and fall of his shoulders. Shane folded his arms and waited. Look, JJ finally said in English, I don't think this is okay. It's effed up that you're dating the captain of the team we're probably going to be facing the playoffs. Shane immediately got angry. He couldn't help it. He'd had enough of people being grossed out by his relationship for one day. Oh, fuck up. Thank you for your effing input. You think maybe that's exactly why I didn't tell you? How did Hayden react at first? Thrilled for you, was he? Shane's mouth dropped open. He tried to think of a defense, but in the end he just closed his mouth again. JJ huffed. That's what I thought. Look, the less people who knew, the better. It's nothing personal. It effing feels personal. God, would you stop? I've been hiding this thing for 11 effing years. It sucked, okay? I'm sorry if your feelings are hurt, but come on, man. Somewhere in the middle of Shane's outburst, JJ had gone still. He looked like he had seen a ghost. 11 years. This is another thing. It's so epic. It's really so epic. We have to be reminded that 11 years is such an accomplishment. 11 years, he said quietly. Shane said, give or take. JJ walked to the staircase that led to the second floor and sat down hard on the third step. 11 effing years. The entire time I've known you. A lump formed in Shane's throat. We haven't been like a couple the whole time. Fuck off, who cares? JJ's shoulders slumped. Effing hell, Hollander, who are you? Shane took a chance and sat next to him on the step. It was ... cozy. I'm your friend and your teammate, and I fell in love with the most complicated person I could possibly fall in love with. Oh, God. Ilya effing Rozanov, JJ shook his head. Jesus, Shane, why? Because ... Shane didn't even know where to start. Finally, he just said, he makes me happy. I know it doesn't make sense, but he's it for me. We're getting married. Oh, God. This is like a telenovela, really. JJ's head whipped around to face him, eyes wide. Married! Yeah, Shane said nervously. So you know, watch for an invitation. F. Hollander, this is a lot. Shane nudged him. I'm the same friend you've always had, and I'll still be the same when I'm Ilya's husband. I swear, I'm normal. What is that? A long tense silence fell between them. And JJ sighed and said, no one who's never heard of Cardi B is normal. That's the big emotional climax of this. Although you have to say that this theme has conflict. I'm gonna tell you, it's the best. Shane barked out a surprised laugh. Fuck off! I've heard the name. That's Shane. He's so awkward and so nerdy. I've heard the name. I just didn't know any of his songs. Her, you effing dipshit. That's JJ. They leaned against each other and laughed, and it felt like things might be okay between them. I don't want to be mad at you, Hollander. I know, but you can be, Shane smiled. Until tomorrow, then we gotta play hockey. JJ smiled back. Deal. I mean, come on. This is like 10-year-olds fight. This is like 10. The stakes are in the basement. It's so bad. Yeah, that's his best friend. And this is in one scene how everything is just wrapped up. And just the most superficial and these people don't act like humans. They act like they have to make the fantasy work. Whatever. That's JJ. Love the scene. So, and Shane in the end comforts him. Shane has no personality that stays the same throughout all of these scenes. Shane's another person. Shane has changed completely. I think since the plane crash, Shane has solved all of his problems. So hollow, that's what I wrote. And then we have super anticlimactic hockey. We have some pages of hockey, the playoffs, empowered by marriage, empowered by love, and engagement. Ilya's team now wins. And we have a little teeny tiny problem in the end because they play each other for like 1,000 times, Ottawa and Montreal, that is. And in the last game, it's really the big decision, the moment of will the one team win or the other. Shane and Ilya have, like, they're playing against each other. I don't know what happens. And then Shane trips and can't keep Ilya from making the goal. And then suddenly in the next day, oh my God, which means that Ilya's team has won this part of the playoffs. I don't know how it works. And Montreal team, the team's so evil. They all say that Shane tripped on purpose to let Ilya win. And that is like a problem for 5 pages, but then whatever. And they're constantly talking about getting married, and it's just the best thing ever. Yahan. And now, now Ilya has to play against New York, I think. And they're kind of okay, but then they lose. So then they're not gonna be the big winner this season. And it's on the flight back from New York that the big D comes back. We're getting mentioned Ilya's depression. The depression comes back. I'd like to read you how this big, life-changing, awful disease that destroys so many lives, and we're being told is one of the big baddies in this narrative. So this is at page 416. On the plane home from New York, immediately after the game, Ilya felt himself start to spiral. He was frustrated about the loss, but it was more than that. He wanted to effing disappear. He didn't want his teammates to look at him. He didn't want to talk to anyone. He was exhausted, and he couldn't remember what it felt like to not be exhausted. It was a tiny bit devastating to learn that none of the changes he'd made in his life, therapy, winning, getting a dog, coming out to his friends and his teammates about his sexuality and his relationship with Shane, getting engaged, had fixed him. even with so much to be happy about, he was almost hoping for the plane to crash for real this time. No, of course he didn't want that. He just needed to get home to his own bed and stay there forever. And then we get Troy coming back and stopping the situation. And later in the next scene, he is talking to Shane about that he is having a depression, and Shane is like, I'm gonna be on your side, whatever happens, it's all fine. And he did great. It's fine. It's nice. It's nice. The way that he talks to him and tells him that he will take him the way that he is, and even if he cannot help, this is nice. But the way that depression is handled is so superficial. You never feel what it is like to be depressed, and how much this can be a dark blanket that lays on everything. It comes and goes, and you never feel it. This is just the way that depression is handled. It is like this live, love, laugh version of this. And what makes me so mad is that I know that this book's going to get a lot of accolades because it deals with depression that so many people suffer from, and it does this on the most incurious, the most superficial way. The narrative is so afraid to really delve into human pain and human misery. It puts on all these labels. It tells us again and again, it tells us also how things should be handled, and it's nice, it's okay. We have to go. It's good to see a therapist. It is good for a partner to say, I will be there, and whatever happens, we'll take it day by day. It's fine. But I just cannot understand how, as a writer, don't talk about it. If you are afraid to get in the feel of it, to evoke any type of emotion that is not, no, everything's fine, we're all fine, we're all just a happy family. I don't know if I would have depression. I mean, I don't have depression. I don't know where that comes from, but for years I had like bouts of desperation that last, I don't know, for days or sometimes even hours. And I can only guess that this is what depression feels like. And if I would imagine that you have this on a daily basis, how awful, how torturous this would be. And none of that comes through in this narrative. It's so uninterested in humanity and in the characters. This is awful. And the thing is solved. It is solved now. Shane says, I'm going to be there. We're going to get this done. It's all right. And then that's it. Depression never comes up again. Oh no, it comes up. He takes pills from now on, which on paper is all fine, but so afraid to really show it and really show how, I mean, if you live with depression or if you have a partner with depression, I would feel that this is a joke, the way that this is portrayed here, because it's never really anything bad. He's just weepy at times, and he does not want to tell his man. You don't feel it. You don't see the impact of this. It's like any other antagonist is laughable. Okay, so that's the depression thing. Okay. And yeah, now everything wraps up sickly sweet and nicely. Of course, Montreal is evil now. So Shane wants to play in Ottawa, and everybody in Ottawa loves him. The season's over. Shane has made a completely 180. He's not that uptight anymore. He does not want to eat super healthy anymore. He's totally relaxed. Now he's a better version of himself. Why? I don't know. Because I think that the author knows that change has to happen, but she just does not know how to make it happen. They post a video on their Instagram, and they're so in love. You cannot believe how in love they look. Ugh. And yeah, they get married. And that's it. We have, again, some of Ilya's troubles, like mentioned, that there's none of his family here. Everyone's there, and they're all super fine. And we're being hit over the head again and again. Oh God. I may read this to you. It's awful. Okay, Ilya repeated the words. It's the ceremony now, and he has to repeat the words of the counselor. What's the name? I don't know. Ilya repeated the words somewhat clumsily. Was his accent worse than usual? He sounded ridiculous. To witness that I, Ilya Rozanov. Oh God, she remembered not to use their middle names. Ilya didn't want any part of his father here today. He repeated the words. Do take you, Shane Hollander, to be my lawful wedded husband. Okay, maybe they should have written their own vows. These were bleak, completely stiff and devoid of emotion. Who would ever feel anything from these bland vows? Ilya's voice cracked before he even got to Shane's name, which made Shane's whole face scrunch up in an effort, Ilya guessed, to keep himself from crying. Oh, God. I'm sorry, Ilya whispered. Shane just shook his head, lips tight. With some effort, he got through his turn to repeat the vows. Then Nancy, that's the person who weds them, gave them some words to say as they exchanged rings. With this ring I shall love, honor, and cherish you, and this ring is the symbol of my love, Shane said. Gross, Ilya muttered, what a whiplash. Gross, Ilya muttered, which made Shane snort and start laughing, which made everyone else laugh. Shane slipped the newly resized ring onto Ilya's finger, and Ilya smiled goofily at him. Nancy said some dull stuff that ended with, to hereby pronounce you, Shane and Ilya, to be married. You may celebrate your marriage with a kiss. Oh, God. And they're so love-struck and so weepy. It's, oh man, you gotta love it. And yeah, that's it. And we end, I think, at the cottage. Do we end at the cottage? Yeah, we find out that Shane plays for Ottawa now, and that they want to win many games for Ottawa, and that he takes pills now. And that's it. Oh, God. Yeah, and still, and there was another thing. Yeah, we end, I think it was a little bit before that, we're at the cottage. It's when they do this Instagram post that makes them so looking disgustingly in love with each other, which I think is a great impression. It definitely mirrors my my reaction. Is that he lies. Ilya has been said to be in a hammock there. And I don't know if I've told you, but in the beginning, this was one of the first scenes. We start at the cottage. It's one season. The whole book is one season. And we start at the cottage. And I think Ilya goes to the hammock, or he sees the hammock, and he's reminded of his mom. Oh no, he's dreaming this. He's in the cottage and his mom is lying in the hammock with one arm like hanging out of the hammock. And he's reminded of the way that he found her. And he is like, oh, Mom, it's great you're there. It's a dream, right? He says, oh, Mom, it's great you're there. Let me show you my friend Shane, or my boyfriend Shane. And he's like, Shane, come in. And going to her. And then they say something, or the author writes something like, yeah, Shane was never fast enough. She always disappeared before that. And so he never could show her Shane. And that is, if there was one, I've been thinking about all the time, how would you rewrite this? How would you make these characters in any way like deeper? And how could you create a narrative that makes them show how much they love the other and not just tell how much they love each other? And I think this would be one thing. I like the idea. I think that the triangle, or maybe it's even a square with Galina, the mom, Ilya's mom, Shane and Ilya, is so interesting. And that at one time when Ilya says to Shane that he has a depression, he's like, I think I'm like my mom. This is so interesting. And then when I read that they're at the cottage and he's lying in the hammock, I'm like, yes, now we circle back to this scene in the beginning that meant so much for him. It felt like this meant the world to him, to marry, not Shane, but to marry his love for his mother with his love for Shane, to get them together, to have them in some type of rapport or in some type of interaction, like at least that he knows, that Shane knows his mother, or that they have some type of ritual to incorporate the mother. The mother does not come up. She only comes up in the moment that I'm like my mother, I think I'm depressed. So if there was any way of salvaging Ilya, it would definitely be to give his mother a bigger role, and at that and then she's so interesting. I mean, he loves her, but at the same time misses her so much, and at the same time she is like, she got him maybe this depression. It's like this dark heritage that she gave her. How does anyone deal with this? Like, if you could erase her and the depression, would you do it, or would you want to live with that, with this legacy of pain? And how do you do that? And how is that for a partner? These are all so interesting questions that do not get addressed one iota. It's just that he has to have something. Mental health is a hot topic. Let's have him problems with his mental health. His mom died. Let's do that, and make sure to have everything in there that people say people need to learn about mental health, like taking meds is okay, going to the therapist is good, all this stuff. But never once does this book deal with human pain, the real human depth. And I think this is probably what people like about the book. I don't get it, like, at all. I'm a psychologist. I was a researcher. I'd like to go, if there's something that I'm interested in, I'd like to go really deep. And I'm annoyed by people because of this, and people are annoyed with me because of this, so I'm not representative. But yeah, what about Kafka, who says a book has to be like an axe that opens up the icy sea within us, or it has to break the icy sea within us. This book is the opposite. It is a blanket of not even snow to just not feel anything, to make you numb. It's just mushy, half. It's the snow after it has been out for like a few days, and it's all mushy and it's all dark from all the cars that ran over it. It's not my thing. But we've done it. So I don't know if I'm gonna make a video about this. I feel protective of Ilya, and I think that there are a lot of things in there, and I'm really angry that a lot of people write these, that they have no agency. It really feels like if your characters don't have agency, it feels really like the author kind of seems to me kind of abusive and hyper controlling. They have no room to breathe. They have no room to be their own person, to be a really fleshed out being with their own needs. No, they all have to succumb to the will of the author, and maybe something like that. I don't know. Yeah, it was painful. Bye.